Given by Father Bob Swick of St. Francis Assisi Old Catholic Church, and I would ask you to remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Almighty God and Creator, amid all the conflict in our country, we ask our City Council members to be filled with your Spirit. Enable them to serve with a special love of community that manifests itself in acts of kindness. May their continuing acts of kindness inspire our community to be more and more united in everyday life. And benevolent Father, we pray that you make us all a channel of your peace. Where there's hatred, let us bring your love. Where there's injury, your pardon, Lord. And when there's doubt, true faith in you. May our City Council set forth the example for us all with their individual, daily, random acts of kindness. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Father Swick, thank you for coming out tonight and those challenging words.
Just thought I'd leave a little message there.
We appreciate it. Let me introduce the dais. On my far right is Interim City Manager Micah Maxwell.
Hello.
Our Vice Mayor Hoyt Hamilton.
Good evening.
Council Member David Albritton.
Good evening.
Council Member Kathleen Beckman.
Good evening.
Council Member Mark Bunker.
Good evening.
And bittersweet, but for the last time, our illustrious City Attorney, Pam Aiken.
Good evening. For the last.
So we're going to be celebrating Pam's 27 years later this evening, but we're going to start off with some service awards. So I would ask for 10 years. Okay, we'll get that one out to her. So our first award for 20 years of service goes to Denise Baylog from the Fire Department.
Administrative Assistant Denise Baylog started with the City of Clearwater Fire and Rescue Department October 22nd, 2001, during a very somber time in public safety due to September 11th. At that time, the Clearwater Fire Department had 6 stations, just under 200 employees, and an approximately $15 million in operating budget. Now there are 8 stations, 220 employees, and a $31.8 million operating budget. Working in the fire service public sector meant learning a whole new environment. She quickly took on projects, one being the accreditation process, where she was the accreditation manager, and the fire department acquired its first internationally accredited agency award, soon to be the 4th, in that year. 4 fire chiefs and 5 union presidents later, she still seamlessly runs the office. She knows and has been through a lot over the years, probably enough to produce her own fire department movie. Ms. Baylog has worked for the Office of the Fire Chief, her 20-year tenure as administrative analyst for 18 years, and reclassified to administrative assistant in January of 2020. Denise has her bachelor's degree in business administration and obtained her master's in business administration degree in 2006. She has one beautiful daughter attending USF. Thank you for your dedicated 20 years of service, Denise.
Good job on the rise. I've always enjoyed working with you.
Thank you.
Not that you're going anywhere.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations.
And now for 10 years of service, Mercedes Bleetler from the library system.
Years? Yeah.
10 years we don't run it.
Backwards there.
Thank you, Mercedes.
Thank you. Thank you, congratulations.
And now if I could call our very, very favorite emergency manager forward, Siobhan Graham from the Fire Department for the Employee of the Month Award for September 2021.
Chief Graham's tireless efforts throughout the last several hurricane seasons, as well as his ongoing efforts during the COVID-19 pandemic, have been an example of service excellence in the city of Clearwater. He has put in tremendous amounts of hours each day and night and weekends to provide coordination and direction for all city departments and personnel. His leadership and commitment to the city, its personnel, and residents has kept us all safe and informed as as informed as possible to weather this historic event. His constant communication and information sharing with county and city personnel have made a recognizable impact on how the city has fared during the pandemic. We are extremely thankful for all of his service. Siobhan Graham, Employee of the Month for September.
Good job.
Thank you, Siobhan. We're very proud of you. Now, if I could have Judy Patrick, the Program Services Director, and Sherry Reed for the School of Age Services Director, come forward for Keeping the Lights On After School Day proclamation. Good evening. Whereas alcohol and drug abuse in this nation have reached epidemic stages, and whereas residents should be encouraged to support drug prevention, educational programs, and to remain committed to a drug-free community. And whereas the National Red Ribbon Campaign offers citizens the opportunity to affirm their commitment not to use illegal drugs and not to use legal drugs illegally. And whereas businesses, governments, parents, law enforcement, media, medical institutions, religious institutions, schools, senior citizens, service organizations, and youth can demonstrate their commitment to healthy, drug-free lifestyles by wearing and displaying red ribbons during this week-long campaign. Now, therefore, I, Frank V. Hibbard, Mayor of the City of Clearwater, Florida, on behalf of the Clearwater City Council, do hereby proclaim October 23rd through the 31st, 2021, to be Red Ribbon Week in Clearwater. I've got the wrong proclamations.
All right. We won't make you read it again.
Michelle Edwards and Terry Jones for the Red Ribbon.
I guess we came ahead
Of all the things I've lost, I miss my mind the most.
Well, good evening, Mayor Hibbert, City Council members, staff, and the Clearwater community. My name is Michelle Edwards, as you stated, and I have been the coordinator for the Clearwater Neighborhood Family Center for over 3 years. I have with me Terry Jones, he's our executive director, Irma Boating, she is the family development coordinator, and we have Matt Jackson, who is the manager over the City of Clearwater's Aquatic Center. And I must say, Matt has been gracious in allowing us to just fill the halls with all sorts of red ribbon paraphernalia. We also have decorating contests as far as posters, displaying all sorts of things of what the youth have been doing, photo contests, red ribbon decorations, and everything. Red Ribbon Week is actually, as you stated, October 23rd to the 31st, and it's the nation's oldest, largest drug prevention awareness program. This Red Ribbon project will actually provide the education that the youth need. It will help them to stand up to the bullies, any influences that they may have at home or throughout the system, and also will help them to stay unitedly and say no to drugs. So we really thank you for allowing us to be here. And I see that you are wearing your red ribbon proudly, so we appreciate it. Thank you. And we have some others for all the rest of you as well.
Well, thank you for being here tonight, and certainly we aspire to have a drug-free community 365 days a year. The damage it could do to families and individuals and the community at large is tremendous. So thank you all for being here tonight.
You're welcome. We also have a special gift for you, Mayor Hibbert.
So one more gift. Most people may not know that we do a conference every year, and this year was the conference that had a murder mystery in it. Who silenced Mayor Hibbert? And so he actually played himself and died in our movie, and the kids had to figure out who was the person that had killed him. And now all of the city really was part of this, the police department as well as the Parks and Rec and Clearwater for Youth. So we wanted to present the mayor with this for an Academy Award-winning death scene for our murder mystery, Clearwater Neighborhood Family Center, 4th Annual Rising Above Youth Explosion Leadership Conference. And we'd like to present that to him as well as a copy of the movie. His employees have been asking for this for a while.
Terry, people have been dreaming about this, you know. Thank you. All right, let's see if we can get this right. Keeping the lights on after school day proclamation, if I could have Miss Reed come forward at this time. False alarm. Fortunately, we had the fire department. Whereas the citizens of Clearwater are firmly committed to quality after-school programs and opportunities because they provide safe, challenging, engaging, and fun learning experiences to help children and youth develop their social, emotional, physical, cultural, and academic skills. And whereas our club, Childcare, Inc., has provided significant leadership in the area of community involvement in the education and well-being of our youth, grounded in the principle that quality after-school programs are key to helping our children become successful adults. And whereas keeping the lights on after school, a national celebration of after-school programs, promotes the critical importance of quality after-school programs in the lives of children, their families, and their communities. And whereas more than 28 million children in the U.S. have parents who work outside the home, and 15.1 million children have no place to go after school. And whereas many after-school programs across the country are facing funding shortfalls so severe that they are being forced to close their doors and turn off their lights. Now therefore, I, Frank V. Hibbert, Mayor of the City of Clearwater, Florida, on behalf of the Clearwater City Council, do hereby proclaim Thursday, October 28th, 2021, to be Keeping the Lights On After School Day in Clearwater, and urge the citizens of Clearwater to join our club Childcare in supporting the continued growth and success of after-school programs. Thank you for being here tonight, Ms. Reed. Do you have anything to say? Okay. Thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you. Gotta get your funding.
And now I would like to invite Dr. Cynthia Johnson, our new Economic Development Director for the county, and we're thrilled to have her and the partnership that we have. Good evening.
I had to come up with my partner, Denise.
Sorry, just a little off script. Mayor, Council, thank you so much for indulging us this evening. Dr. Cynthia Johnson was appointed following a very lengthy nationwide search and was appointed on September 7th. I know you've all had an opportunity to meet her recently under different circumstances, but she did wish to have an opportunity to speak with you all this evening. And so with that, I'll turn it over to the lovely Dr. Cynthia Johnson. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sanderson.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just came today to say hello. In my position as the new director of Pinellas County Economic Development, I wanted you all to know that the county is committed to being a partner with you in economic development. We work very closely with your staff already, but what we are going to do moving forward, and I want everyone to really understand how committed I am to make sure that our office is a support to the economic development initiatives that you all have going on here in Clearwater. And as we expand our program activities to be more intentional and engaging with our regional partners. And to me, my regional partners are my 24 municipalities. And so that's where our focus will be, on providing business retention, expansion, and relocation services, as well as supporting our small business entity. My past, I was over the Office of Small Business and Supply Diversity, so I understand what 85% of our business owners deal with every day. And that's why I'm so honored to stand here before you as a partner in prosperity and as a colleague and as a supporter of everything that you all are doing. And I just wanted to come and let you know from my lips to your ears that I am your partner in prosperity, and my team will work very hard to support you in all of the economic development initiatives you have. And I look forward to my continued relationship with Denise and her team. By the way, you have a dynamite team leader in economic development. I call her all the time. I actually called her the day I got the job. And she was on vacation with her husband. But she answered, and that's how committed she is. So I am so honored to be a partner and to be the leader of economic development for the county. And I just want you all to know that whatever it is that you need, my team and I are here to be a partner with you. And that's all I have to say. And besides our club, I'm on the board. Aren't they fabulous? Don't you love our club? I love our club. I'm on the board for our club. I think that when we start to really care about what happens at the pre-K level, because economic development starts at pre-K, we got to have those conversations at that age so when they become entrepreneurs, they can sustain their businesses. So I just wanted to stop by and say hello again to some friends and meet some new friends and know that you have our support, whatever it is that you need to support your businesses. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. I appreciate you coming out. And we know we're blessed to have Denise.
Yeah,
She's
you are.
dynamite.
She is dynamite.
You know, we are committed to quality of life in Clearwater, and part of that is having a job.
Amen. That's
You
right.
know, so we look forward to partnering with you.
All righty. Well, thank you all and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would ask if there are any amendments to the minutes of the October 7th, 2021 meeting.
Move approval of the minutes of the October 7th meeting as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Ask if there are any amendments to the August 24th, 2021 special council meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes to the August 24th meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? At this time, I'd like to open it up for citizens to be heard. If there are any citizens,
There was also minutes from the September 30th meeting.
There's two sets there.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
Do I have a motion for the 30th? It's not on my
Motion to approve the minutes from the September 30th special council meeting?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. All right, now I'll open it up to citizens to be heard. Are there any citizens in the audience that would like to speak to items that are not on the agenda? You can find agendas off to my right. If you come up, we would ask you to fill out a comment card, and we respectfully ask you to keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Can I use this or is the other side?
You can use it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. My prime reason for coming down tonight was to thank your city attorney, Pam Aiken, for her wonderful service over 27 years. I consider her a friend and an advisor, and I hope she is doing the same thing for you that she did for me when I was on the council. Thank you very much, Ms. Aiken. But since I'm here, I noticed a news article in the paper yesterday highlighting the makeover of the Clearwater Marina. It undoubtedly needs to be made over, but the headline says tourist magnet. And as the comp plan feedback has talked about, many residents feel that there is some imbalance in the allocation of city services and investments. And of course, I've been talking to you about the medians on Gulf to Bay, and they continue to be in need of care. And you can look just at our city to the south, Largo. They somehow have been able to maintain medians in a outstanding manner to be proud of. I shared with you some information recently that their city council decided to allocate $200,000 annually for the maintenance of their medians. They took it back from a contractor. And I know that you are currently working with FDOT to get some grants on Gulf to Bay medians. That would be wonderful if we get that done, but it does seem to be taking a really long time. Plus, the medians up in North Greenwood are in pretty poor shape, and there's no reason that I know of for that not to be fixed for the residents of that area. On the way here and back, I often drive through Dunedin. Dunedin is a vibrant city. They're putting up townhomes left and right. I talk to a lot of people that say the young people want to live in Dunedin because it's a happening place. Clearwater can be a happening place too. But I think that it's just that we've got to start doing some of those things that ULI talked about back in 2014, to put some entry signs to spruce up the downtown, to really care about the community. And it's okay to take care of our tourists. They provide a lot of bread and butter, but please care about the residents too. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you,
Council
Mr. Johnson. Well, I can't help what the newspaper puts as a headline. We don't write the headlines. We just make them. But, you know, the marina is going to be for everybody, and I think we do take care of our residents. If you look at our parks and rec and our recreation and libraries, they are second to none. Nobody even comes close. So, but I appreciate you coming out tonight.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else for citizens to be heard?
Let's fill out a comment card after. Or
You can do it after.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks, Mr. Mayor and the City Council. I appreciate you guys. I got my timer going, so we're good. You may think that I'm coming off as a little abrasive right now. Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Michael Petrides. You may think I'm coming off a little abrasive right now. You may think that I'm kind of just opening up some old wounds, maybe. And I might be coming off as a jerk right now. So I get it, what's about to happen. But I want to thank Mr. Hamilton for last week, because he did a great thing. And I wasn't able to express this last time because we just didn't have the opportunity to do so. But there was something that was brought up. I don't know who brought it up. I forgot what the context was. But basically, it's how people look on the city council versus how actually they are internally. Do you guys remember that? There's this thing where, you know, people want different people looking different on the city council. Well, I come from a place that was ruined by that, absolutely demolished by thinking like that. That's Marxist thinking. It's awful thinking. And I want to thank Mr. Hamilton for nipping it in the bud, because the thing that happens is when you don't nip it in the bud immediately, it takes root on the city and it ruins the city. I came from a place called Long Beach, California. It was a great place to grow up. It felt like Clearwater. You could be safe. You could raise a family. A man and woman could raise a family here. And I went to city council meetings with my family, and I heard things, insidious things like that, and no one knew how to handle it back then because the fruit of that didn't come yet. But the fruit of having people look a certain way versus being competent on a city council really does damage to a city. And once the damage gets done, once that's done with and that whole agenda comes in, you can't get your city back. It turns into a place where the park bench where you hung out with your dad when you were a kid is now there's a bum on it with a needle in his arm, and there's graffiti everywhere, and you can't sit anywhere. And it turns into that. And I know it sounds ridiculous that just words can do that, but it can. And I sit over here. I'm a pretty busy guy. I have a business of my own. I work tonight from 11:30 to 4 a.m. And I sit there because I listen for things like this, because I love this place. I love this place. This place is a great feeling. I love Clearwater and I love Florida. And I can't let words, Marxist words, come in and destroy this place like it did my old life, my old home. And that's why I sit there, I just listen. And so I appreciate you guys, your time. I appreciate everything you guys do. And thank you for hearing me out. Have a great day.
Thank you for coming out tonight. Anyone else for citizens to be heard?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I will only take 1 minute. I live near Crest Lake Park. There are drones being flown in Crest Lake Park, and although as a retired military...
Could you just give your name
yes,
for the record,
Glenn
sir?
Doten, D-O-T-E-N. Thank you. I have no claim to PSD whatsoever. I had a most uneventful military career. But I've got to tell you, the noise made by the drones is most unsettling. I talked to some of the park employees, and they say they can hear it over all of Crest Lake Park when the drones are being flown. And it is not let me put it this way. A car goes by, it makes a noise, we're all used to it. It's a moderate noise. The drones have high power setting and then nothing. The high power setting sounds like the screech of some animal that's being stabbed. You cannot not react to it. It gets you on a visceral level, subliminal, and most upsetting. Apparently there is no specific mention of drones in the Clearwater ordinances. I've presented a comparison. Pinellas County does not allow drone flights in any of their public parks. Clearwater does not have anything that specifically addresses drones. It mentions, as you can see in section 22, subparagraph 47, aircraft, airplane, helicopter, glider. The equivalent definition of aircraft for Pinellas County is airplane, helicopter, drone. Also, in section 22.49, it indicates that either by an organized activity or an informal activity, no person shall engage in operating a model aircraft. Okay, so a drone flies, radio controlled, essentially it's a model aircraft, but it doesn't say drone. And for that reason, the wonderful folks of Clearwater PD have said, there's nothing we can do about it. And the only reason I talked to them is because Parks and Rec said, there's nothing we can do about it, talk to the police. So, and they said, talk to you. Here I am. I'd be happy to leave copies. I've got some for everybody.
Okay. And if you just fill out a comment card if you haven't, with your contact information, and we can get back to you.
Very good.
Ms. Aiken, off the top of your head?
He's correct. It is not prohibited.
Okay.
And we will, I will pass this
Mr.
on.
Margolis will take a look at it.
I'm sending him an email now.
The drone guys, the drone operators that I've talked to out in the park, they said, yeah, we know it's not allowed in Pinellas County parks. That makes us a magnet. It's only going to get worse. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention. Anyone else? All right. I'll close citizens to be heard. I'll ask if there are any items to be removed from the consent agenda. I understand that item 7.1 is going to be continued. We do have a gentleman here that would like to speak to it, but I would ask if anyone from the public or the council would like to remove any items 7.2 through 7.8 from the consent agenda. Seeing none, do I have a motion?
Move we approve agenda 7.2 through 7.8.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 7.1.
Approve a proposal by construction manager at risk Coors Construction, Inc. of Pinellas Park, Florida, in the amount of $116,195.46 for the demolition and replacement of the existing deck at the Clearwater Beach Recreation Center located at 69 Bay Esplanade, and authorize the appropriate officials to execute same. Mr. Halios.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Jim Halios, Director of Parks and Recreation. The item that was being pulled tonight that was presented for you at the work session on Monday, we had some additional comments regarding looking at some alternatives as far as steel cabling and we were not able to get the pricing back in time. We should have that in time for the next council meeting in the first week in November, so I'll be able to provide you an update with some cost estimates as those alternatives, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Halios? Anyone from the public to speak to item 7.1?
Mr. Mayor, Council, my name is Chris Duggan. I reside at 1773 Bentley Street here in Clearwater, and I'm here as a student of the St. Petersburg College Public Policy and Administration program, specifically for a policy leadership initiative and a class under Professor Crunchnoble. First and foremost, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak before you here today with regards to this agenda item. Agenda item 7.1, as we mentioned before, is looking to approve a proposal for construction by Risk Course Construction Incorporated out of Pinellas Park, Florida, for the tune of $195.46. It is looking to be constructed at the Clearwater Beach Recreation Center at 69 Bay Esplanade as well. The legislation is being proposed, of course, to address the state of the deck. Upon myself taking an opportunity to visit it a couple times last week and even yesterday for one final look before today's meeting, it's definitely understandable that the deck is visually damaged, and to my knowledge here through some reports as well, that it structurally is impaired as well. The project is looking to renovate that deck and to supply, a better option for that recreation center as it moves forward. It'll offer also a better option in the long run for its events, such as the weddings that are held there annually. So, as I mentioned before, I had an opportunity to visit that location, and I can definitely understand there's a need for this to happen. Definitely with regards to the structure, first and foremost, I took a few pictures myself and just kind of got down a little bit towards on my knees to take a look at it because I noticed there were a little bit of discrepancies. I also noticed the deck seems to be leaning a little bit. That's certainly something that was in the report that I noticed too, but seeing it firsthand, I could definitely understand. I want to also thank Director Jim Halios for taking the time to speak with me today, as well as Leroy Chin with Parks and Recreation. They gave me a lot of insight and steered me in the right direction here so I could have the information forth. I want to also say, with regards to my opinion on on addressing the deck itself, I do believe it needs to be replaced. Definitely needs to happen sometime soon here. I want to also point out that with regards to Councilman Albrighton's mentions on Monday in that working session, with regards to the structural differences there, perhaps there are some other options that need to be explored. I understand the item had to be pulled today because we couldn't get some pricing. That's understandable. We should look at everything that we have possible when it comes to that deck. I also wanted to bring forth some questions with regards to the timeline for the project. I see it's supposed to be happening in June of next year. Being a citizen here in the city of Clearwater for the past 25 years, I can tell that's peak time on the beach. I'm wondering whether or not the project is going to be finished in a 90-day period, whether that's with tourism or with the weather conditions that are going to be in the area. Certainly that's something to your knowledge, but I did want to bring that forth. So I want to ask if there's a potential to expedite the project in the future, but I also want to express my gratitude for moving forward to consider this going forward. Thank you again for letting me speak.
Thank you for coming out tonight, and we'll look into whether it can be expedited and the additional costs that would incur.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And tell Professor Crunchnoble I said hello. We go way back.
Do I have a motion to continue to November 4th?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 8.1.
Approve amendments to the Clearwater Community Development Code, Chapter 51, Flood Damage Prevention, to allow for the use of best available data when establishing flood hazard areas, including Pinellas County's vulnerability assessment from 2021, to address accessory structures used for parking and storage, and to modify provisions for manufactured homes, to modify or delete various definitions, and to make other administrative amendments and pass ordinance 9508-21 on first reading. Ms. Metzke.
Good evening, Lauren Matzke, Planning and Development. This code amendment is a joint effort with the Planning and Development Department and the Engineering Department. Chapter 51 designates the Community Development Coordinator as the floodplain administrator and may delegate duties as appropriate to other folks. So both of our departments work regularly together to implement this code. New FEMA maps went into effect August 24th of this year. These were presented to City Council at your August 30th work session, and Council directed staff to prepare amendments to the ordinance to address certain issues. Any changes to the city's ordinance must be reviewed by the Florida Department of Emergency Management. During the agency's review of the ordinance, FDEM noted several smaller administrative amendments that have been incorporated into what's before you today, including regulations addressing accessory structures for the purpose of this chapter is limited to parking and storage only. There are also several changes to the definition section of the chapter. For the official record, the proposed ordinance meets the applicable code criteria for reviewing text amendments. It's consistent with the city's comprehensive plan and furthers the purposes of the Community Development Code. All of this is detailed further in the staff report that was provided for you. Sarah Kessler is here to talk through the meat of the ordinance, but we also have Kevin Garriott, the city's building official, should there be any questions on that end.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members. My name is Sarah Kessler, Lead Environmental Specialist in the Engineering Department. Back in August, the Pinellas County's Floodplain Administrator was here to talk about Pinellas County's vulnerability assessment. When the new FEMA firm maps were automatically adopted in August, they left a gap in protecting Clearwater Beach, Sand Key, and Island Estates. The new firm has a much lower base flood elevation, or BFE, than the previous firm. Which one are we doing? We're doing over here. The darker red purple color is the lower lower BFE that shows how the base flood elevation of the new maps is lower than the previous maps. Pinellas County developed their vulnerability assessment to fill in that gap to determine what the appropriate BFE is. This is the vulnerability assessment compared with the old BFE. The BFE are in line with previous regulations, so this does not put an additional burden on homeowners or developers. They have been building to this standard since the last floodplain ordinance was passed in 2018. The BFEs developed by the vulnerability assessment will be used for regulation where it is higher than the FEMA firm. Those locations are all on the intercoastal Gulf side of the city. On the east side, the Tampa side, the firm has a higher BFE. Councilman Albritton, you had asked about the BFEs on the current firm. So they range from the high end at 11 feet, and then in some areas there isn't a BFE because it's outside of the special flood hazard area. So these areas on Island Estates, and there's some down on Sand Key that are outside of the special flood hazard area on the new firm maps. With the vulnerability assessment, the BFEs range from 15 feet to 12 feet. And nothing would be outside of a special flood hazard area in that case.
Hey, Sarah, can I just ask why there's some exceptions on a couple of parcels on Island Estates and Sand Key?
So that is part of the mapping that FEMA did. Based on their maps, they felt like the elevation of that land was high enough that it did not need to be within the special flood hazard area. So that is why we want to use this vulnerability assessment, because we feel like those BFEs are more accurate to what the risk actually
Can you
is.
put
out
that
on the
back
beach.
up?
Yep.
So those little pockets are from the federal. And
Yep, and so we have a few here on Island Estates, and then just a few on Sand Key as well that are outside of the special flood hazard area. So those homes, those already have structures on them, but if someone decided to level it and rebuild something, they wouldn't have to build it up to a certain height. They could build it right slab on grade just same thing as if they were in countryside.
And I think because on island estates, those northern fingers were dredged later.
Higher.
And so
A little bit higher.
They built them higher.
Okay, so now on to the manufactured home section. Per the Florida Building Code rules, if a manufactured home is a permanent structure, if someone is living there permanently, it is regulated as a manufactured home. So that includes recreational vehicles and park trailers. The city is a Class 6 in FEMA's Community Rating System Program, CRS. That Class 6 translates to 20% savings or $1.8 million in annual flood insurance savings to Clearwater residents. FEMA updated the CRS program to require new or replaced manufactured homes to be elevated the same way other residential properties are elevated. In order to have a better class than, in order to be improved more than a Class 6, you must meet that additional requirement. Or, I'm sorry, in Class 9, sorry. In order to be better than a Class 9, we have to adopt that regulation. The current requirement is in the Florida Building Code is that the bottom frame of a manufactured home needs to be 36 inches above the existing grade or ground level. The change to meet the CRS requirement is for the bottom of the frame to be the same as the residential requirements. So the BFE established by FEMA or the vulnerability assessment, and then the 2 foot of freeboard, which is currently in our floodplain ordinance. There are 6 manufactured home parks on this map. However, 2 of them have already been redeveloped. And then there are 3 remaining parks that are in the special flood hazard area that would be impacted by this new requirement. Just as a reminder, elevating manufactured homes to the BFE with the freeboard is only applicable to new, replaced, substantially improved, or substantially damaged homes. And Councilwoman Beckman, the flood insurance premium for a Class 9 is $1.8 million. The flood insurance premium savings for a Class 3 would be about $3.3 million, so an additional savings of $1.4 million. Those numbers are as of July 2021, and so as insurance rates go up, that savings would increase. So as things are happening now with insurance, those numbers will certainly change. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from council? Did you? Anyone from the public to speak to this item?
I had,
Councilmember Beckman.
so we're going to investigate a little bit of what the county is doing to get that lower distinction, right?
So the county used a consultant, and then they also have additional staff time. So in order for us to continue to improve, those are things that we would need to use to help us to get that.
Okay. We can't just copy what this county already did?
We're copying a lot, but it's just a matter of manpower to be able to continue to do things. So we just need additional people to be able to do that.
So if we got additional people and got a savings for a Class 3, that could save our residents collectively $1.4 million up to?
In an additional $1.4 million.
Right, in
Yep.
addition?
Yes.
Okay.
As of July.
Right, and it could go higher as our insurance rates go up.
Correct.
Okay, so it seems like it might be a good thing to do for our residents, to try to get our number
Additional
down.
savings on insurance is always
a good thing. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions or comments? Anyone from the public to speak to item 8.1? Have a motion?
Move to approve agenda item 8.1.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ms. Aiken.
Ordinance number 9508-21, An ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, making amendments to the Community Development Code by amending Chapter 51 Flood Damage Prevention, providing for incorporation of updated FEMA flood hazard maps, authorizing the floodplain administrator to rely on best available data when locally determined data is available, in establishing the minimum basis for flood hazard areas and base flood elevations, clarifying the definitions specific to this chapter, providing certain conditions for when accessory structures may be located below the base flood elevation, updating minimum elevation standards consistent with Florida Building Code and FEMA best practices, certifying proper advertisement, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Anyone to speak to the ordinance? Do I have a motion?
Motion to pass ordinance 9508-21 on first reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. We're going to be continuing 8.2 to a date uncertain. Anyone to speak to item 8.2? Do I have a motion to
I
continue?
move we continue to a date uncertain, item 8.2.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 9.1.
Ordinance number 9507-21, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, vacating public right-of-way described as that certain portion of Rogers Street lying west of the east boundaries of lots 2 and 17, William Brown subdivision of Bayview, Florida, per map or plat thereof as recorded in Plat Book 1, page 13 of the public records of Hillsborough County, Florida, of which Pinellas County was formerly a part, and east of that portion of said Rogers Street vacated per resolution number 69-18 as recorded in the official records book 3095, page 79 of the public records of Pinellas County, Florida, and that portion of Rogers Street conveyed to the City of Clearwater by deed recorded in the official records book 6302, page 1729 of the public records of Pinellas County, Florida, providing an effective date.
Anyone from the public to speak to that ordinance?
I move to adopt ordinance 9507-21 on second reading.
Second.
You'll never have to do it again.
Last one.
You're going to miss that.
I was just thinking how much I'm not going to miss.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Anything else, Mr. Maxwell?
No, sir.
All right. Well, now we get a little bit of time before our closing comments to celebrate a 27-year career, which is really extraordinary. And so I'm going to open it up. I'll start with the Vice Mayor.
Oh, wow. Wow. Where do I start? Pam, we go back 21 years plus. Had lots of conversations, lots of different things. I know when I got elected the first time, you and my wife had a conversation about trying to find a cattle prod, because I was going to sit, my first time I sat right next to you, and you were going to be able to use that whenever I got out of line. But over the years, you've been able to develop just certain facial expressions that when I start going, I can look at you and I can tell, you need to bring it back on the track. Because just looking at it. But, it has been such an honor to work with you. I've relied on you very, very heavily at certain times. A lot of times you've talked me off the ledge when I'm like, I'm thinking about writing this response to somebody, and you say, you might want to think about that for a little longer. And so I don't, and well, I do think about it, and then I don't write it. But your counsel has been invaluable, and I appreciate it tremendously, and I'm going to miss you, but hopefully you won't be a total stranger. Looking forward to your, I know you're looking forward to gardening and traveling. So I will tell you, I have a little book here, and I know you're getting ready to take a Alaskan cruise, and this is a little book about all the different ports and places in Alaska and up and down the that seaboard area. So you'll have to look at this and plan your adventures with Miss Godot, which I know you'll have a great time. And thank you so much. I just really cannot express my full gratitude to you. It's been a great run.
Thank you very much, and I'll use the book.
I'm sure you will.
Councilmember Albritton.
Pam, I enjoy our weekly meetings. Every week I look forward to Tuesday, early, first thing in the morning meetings with you, and then nobody's in City Hall, but you're there waiting to talk to me. And you always have great advice for me. I feel like I can talk openly to about everything, and when we talk one-on-one very well together. And I've always thought that, and I know a lot of the people in Clearwater that don't know you personally don't know how you are, but it's really an honor to really be that close to you and to have those conversations. And to see your work ethic, it's amazing. I mean, you're there for me all the time I need, and you're there for the community. I know that on all the different functions that you go out on, I say extracurricularly, but I mean that's part of your job. But you don't ever complain. You're there for everybody. You put in as much time as people require, and even more. And I know that all the charter review committees over the years, you've run them very well, and let me tell you, I know that every time we have one, you've got a certain, it swings back and forth on different things that people really want to see Clearwater do, but you're there to navigate them through it, and you're very good at letting people say what's on their mind and then guide them to the center, and what can be done and really what's really not going to be able to be done. And to me, that's amazing. And I'm going to miss having those meetings with you, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Councilmember Beckman.
Right, I wrote a few things because I just like to write them. So I'd like to say a very sincere and public thank you to you, Pam Aiken, our city attorney, who has been my guide and resource as I entered into the world of an elected official. Your advice and perspective has been invaluable to me. I admire your knowledge, your experience, your work ethic, and your diplomacy. And I love that there has been a strong, intelligent, and measured woman on this dais for over 27 years. You are a role model to many women in particular, and me included, and I'm going to miss you. But I am so happy that you'll be starting the next chapter in your life, and it's going to be a great one, and you're going to love retirement. And I wish for you many years of good health and new adventures. And I too have a book, and it's on gardening, because I understand you like gardening, so there's some helpful hints on native species in Florida. So thank you for your service, Pam.
Councilmember Bunker.
I'll spring my presence on you later. But I just wanted to say what a delight it's been getting to know you and to work with you during this transition in my life, where suddenly in retirement I ran for office. And I know when I was elected, there was a little bit of concern running through the city hall about, what is this madman going to do who has as Scientology like to point out, an injunction between me and Scientologists that also is between Scientologists and me. And, so I know there was some concerns here. But I think we developed a terrific relationship. I've appreciated all of your guidance and wisdom. I also greatly enjoyed, sharing our thoughts on the latest movies and TV shows out there, and I'll miss that. But I also have to give you great credit also for using your former career as a nurse to get me to see the doctors when I should. And afterwards, I'd like to show you this bump.
On your knee?
Yeah.
Have a nice
TMI.
But it has been a delight, and I'll miss you.
Thank you.
Ms. Call?
Pam, it has been an honor and pleasure working with you. Thank you for your guidance throughout the years and also for your measured reaction sometimes to some of my comments and flippant remarks. It's truly been a pleasure, and I look forward to hearing the stories of your new adventures. So,
Thank you. Thank you, Rosemary.
Mr. Delk? I'm
Accessible-
catching you unaware, so.
Pardon? Yeah, well, accessible, thoughtful, engaging council over the years with a very challenging and sometimes difficult development code, and just the corporate history that you brought to the table has been invaluable to me to be able to be somewhat successful in my role, and I appreciate your engagement over the years and support that you provided me. It's been invaluable. Thank you very much, Pam.
Thank you, Michael.
Mr. Maxwell?
I haven't known Pam as long as Mr. Delk has, or as long as certainly Mr. Horn did, but I will say that I've had a great time this week. In all the meetings we've had, I've had a chance to make sure that everybody knows that this is Pam's last plug, whatever the meeting is in here. So there were 3 or 4 of those, and I think some of the staff had some fun. Javon left, but I think he had the most fun with his goodbye to
Yes,
Pam.
he did.
I'll leave it at that.
We shouldn't talk about that.
Absolutely, I'll leave it at that. But I have greatly, 4 years that I've had a chance to really work with Pam outside of the internship period, and told this to her on Monday. The one thing I've really enjoyed, in knowing her is we could always have, good debate on various subjects, and while others might have, pushed away from the table and thought that, maybe we weren't okay, we were always okay. We, I think both thrived on the ability to share our perspectives and hear the others and try to adjust our own thoughts based on that. So for that, I very much appreciate all of those times, and I wish you luck in retirement.
Thank you.
Miss Aiken has worn so many hats. And, a lot of people don't know that she was a nurse and left the medical field to get her law degree. And yet she still uses some of that bedside manner at times. And she was neonatal, right?
Neonatal intensive care.
And a lot of times you have to deal with children in the city. So that was perfect training. But she's always been a marvelous attorney who has kept the city out of trouble. She has created guardrails for us. And because of that, we really have fared very well over the many years. You also have been a confidant, a wonderful sounding board that we could talk privately and look at many different angles and discuss them, argue about them, sometimes disagree about them. And as our good friend J.B. Johnson used to say, we could agree without being disagreeable. But you also were a mother sometimes, and like mothers do, they tell you you can't do something, which really irritated me sometimes because I wanted to do something, and Pam said, no, we just can't go that direction. Most of all, I'm proud to call you a friend. Pam and I have always done our meetings at lunch because we both love food and we like the culinary arts, and so that was always a great way to do it. But she's also raised a wonderful daughter who is here tonight, and the other thing is Mr. Horn would be here tonight. Y'all were a great team.
Thank you.
So, my gift, and this is probably the easiest key to the city ever. to Pam Aiken for 27 illustrious years of service to the city of Clearwater. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to miss you.
Thank you.
You can not be replaced.
If I may, I have just a few words.
Certainly.
And even though I'm attorney, I do mean that. It is just a few words. When we were talking today at dinner, I thought about all the stories I could tell. And then I thought about all the stories I can't tell. And so I decided to kind of, to not do that. But just to tell you all how much I have appreciated working with you and appreciated working with the council members over the past 27 years. It has been a huge variety of people. The characters of each council have been very different. I have seen a tremendous change in the community and in the council as well. And staff. When I first came to the city, one of the things that was very noticeable to me, because I came from Tampa where I was city attorney, was the diversity on staff was not very great. Mr. Horn fixed that. He was the beginning of introducing diversity at the higher levels. And I really appreciated that and valued that. And he created change within our community at very basic levels and higher levels as well. I miss him a great deal, Mayor. And I'm very sorry he can't be with us. Working with him was a delight. We didn't always agree. We disagreed more quietly, though, than Micah and I tend to. So anyway, it has been a pleasure to be here for the past 27 years. I am looking forward to retirement. I'm planning on having a great time. And I'll, don't lose my phone number. You know where I am. I'm not changing it. I'm not throwing it away. So anyway, thank you very much for your kind comments tonight, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Absolutely. Closing comments, Councilmember Bunker.
Thank you for the reminder that diversity is a good thing and not the start of chaos. Also, Mr. Maxwell, in our meeting just a couple of days ago, said that he was looking through Bill Horn's notes back in 2000, and there was a cryptic mention of Mark Bunker. So that's what I mean when I said there might have been a little concern when I got elected. But again, I'll miss you. We'll always have Zardoz, though. and I hope you have an absolutely wonderful retirement.
Thank you.
Councilmember Beckman.
I just wanted to make mention of the big cleanup over the weekend. There were so many activities going on all last week, and last weekend I had 4 different things on Saturday, but attended the big cleanup, and it was, from what I understand, it was an enormous success, over 1,500 volunteers throughout the week, culminating on Saturday. I participated on Saturday, and I'm sure Samantha and others will give us a report with final counts, but I know there were a lot of people involved in coordinating that, but I would just recognize this young employee, Samantha Mulay from our Parks and Rec, who did a phenomenal job organizing it. Sherry Heilman with Amplify and Ocean Allies. I think, just from my little bit of knowledge, those 2 women really worked hard to pull that together with a bunch of others. But I just wanted to make sure I mentioned Samantha and her hard efforts. She was just amazing, I think, coordinating all that.
So just to continue on with that, I went to the Chamber Awards ceremony last night, and I did see Sherry, and we talked about the cleanup last weekend, and they had a lot. I forget she didn't have the total weight. There are two other, I think, areas that didn't bring in their weight yet, but it was tons of stuff that they
There are
collected.
5 tons right now.
Yeah.
And there's 2 more to be counted.
2 more to be counted. That just shows you, and it's not big stuff. I'm talking about cigarette butt style things. You get 5 tons of that. That's a lot of stuff. And thank you for the 1,500 or so people throughout the city that participated on that. I think we all are aware that we're seeing more trash, and I know everybody should do their part to really take it to the trash can, put it in the trash can. I know it's easy to throw it on the ground, but pick it up, because we are a city that's beautiful and we want to keep it that way for everybody. So I just wanted to say thank you for everybody that participated.
Vice Mayor?
Well, I'm going to keep along the Amplify event they had last night. I'd like to congratulate all the various winners. They were all very qualified and deserve all the recognition. The people who didn't win also deserved recognition. That our city has, a very strong business community and business client, and that's one of the reasons we have such a great city. I also want to publicly congratulate the Jazz Holiday people. They made lemonade out of a bunch of lemons, with Coachman Park not being available, moving it out to Baycare Ballpark. Was it perfect? Probably not in some people's eyes, but, they did a hell of a job considering everything they had to deal with. So I would congratulate them on what I consider to be a very good event, and I know they're going to take their experience from this event, and we're going to be back at Baycare Ballpark again next year. I'm sure next year's event will be even better because they'll make some tweaks to it. So looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, you will see a lot of announcements on the TV of what's upcoming, but there are a couple things I want to point out. I did have an opportunity to go to our pirate camp, and you might wonder what that is, but we had 45 families from around the United States with children that were either born without limbs or have lost limbs out at our sailing center on Sand Key. And we have specially equipped sailboats that children that are even in wheelchairs can avail themselves of. And to see all of these kids out there from all over the country, and not only did we have the children, but we had their entire families. And they were staying at the Sheraton Sand Key. They had 15 counselors who were also amputees. The majority of them had performed in the Paralympics in Japan this year. So it was really a wonderful thing, and it's a hidden gem within the city of Clearwater that is great for our residents and visitors. I also want to congratulate Ruth Eckerd Hall on their gala. They raised a lot of money for education. Kids are not turned away for the arts out at Ruth Eckerd because of the generosity of people. I also want to congratulate the East Gateway Neighborhood Association for their first meeting. They're starting back up. Good group of people, great turnout for the first meeting. And also want to congratulate Countryside High School. They did a college fair for the entire North County. They had over 100 different colleges represented, and it was really wonderful to see. Jazz Holiday was good. The cleanup was dynamite. Want to thank all those volunteers that came out. We had council members there. Also, the Hispanic Farmers Market started up. It's going to be the third weekend of every month at Court and Myrtle, so you want to check that out. And Amplify did a great job last night. Good turnout. So many awards, we couldn't name them all. And it was really fun to have the Stanley Cup in Clearwater today at Station Square, so that was a blast. I hate to adjourn this meeting tonight because Pam's not going to be here next time, but I think Mr. Margolis is going to really do a great job. I think we have the right candidate, and I look forward to starting a new tradition with him. So with that, we are adjourned. God bless.